Hello and welcome to the Maple Lion podcast. My name is Sam and I'm joined as always by my good friend Matt. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's well past my bedtime here in the UK. But, you know, doing it for the love of the podcast. It's all good. Today we are joined by the Altered Fives Blues Band. This is the Maple Lion podcast. Hello guys, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah, thanks.
No
Sam.
worries.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
No worries at all. So just to get us started on the podcast, we'd just like to find out who you are and what your roles in the band are.
I'm Jeff Schradel, guitar player. We're all in the Milwaukee area here. And Mark?
Yep. Thanks, Jeff. Mark Salveson. I'm the bass player.
And
Great.
then five members in the band, Altered Five Blues Band. And our singer, Jeff Taylor, might be joining us here shortly. Trying to track him down. But Raymond Tevage is our keyboardist and Alan Arbor, our drummer.
Great,
So,
fantastic.
Thanks for having us.
No worries at all. Thank you for joining us today. So just tell us a little bit about how you guys got together. What is the backstory to the band?
Goes back 18 years. So it goes back to 2002 here in Milwaukee, and Mark and I were playing in some bands and decided to try something different, and we found JT, Jeff Taylor, and a great voice, and just built the band around his voice and the individual musicianship of the rest of us, you know, drums, bass, keys, guitar. And, wanted to do something a little bit different with the blues. And so we had the name Altered Five, kind of a play on words. It's a musical term as well, but Altered Five Blues Band. And kind of been doing it ever since, and evolved quite a bit in the last 18 years, certainly, in a lot of ways. But that was sort of the beginning.
That's I picked you up a few weeks ago on Spotify, and instantly fell in love with that guitar. That guitar is awesome, and I love the sound, and the blues is something I've got into recently because I live in Fredericton and we hold a Harvest Jazz and Blues Festival every year here in Fredericton. So I got into some of that kind of blues / roots kind of music, like the Record Company and Larkin Poe. So yeah, when I came across your band on Spotify, that guitar was awesome. So you have 5 albums to date. But you have 3 under the name of Altered Five, and you have the others under the name of the Altered Five Blues Band. And we were just wondering here on the podcast, was there a reason for changing the name and adding the blues band bit on the end?
Yeah, I think we struggled a little bit with the name Altered Five, and it does have musical reference. There's 5 guys in the band. And at the time, what we were doing was altering songs and playing them as blues songs. So we still do that occasionally in our show with some tunes that we still play. And but people didn't know what the band was from the name, so that's obviously a problem. So we really struggled and talked about changing the name, but we had some notoriety at the time with Altered Five, and we decided to tag on the blues band at the end, really just to help identify ourselves with new listeners.
Okay, that's good to know, because I was guessing before you guys came in. I said that I thought it had something to do with the record labels and maybe a licensing issue or something, because you did release 2 under a different record label to start with.
Yeah, the first 2 records were with the name Altered Five. You know, same band, same basic sound. But when we got, like Mark said, we were doing more original stuff and really, pretty solidly within the blues. We thought it helped a little bit define what we're doing for people, so they knew what they would expect. So yeah, the last 3 albums have been Altered 5 Blues Band, but nothing to do with the different record labels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a reason why the 2 aren't amalgamated under one Spotify? Because there are actually on separate areas on Spotify. If you just type in Altered 5, you get the old stuff. If you type in Altered 5 Blues Band, you get the other 3 albums. So is there a reason for that?
Yeah, the Spotify, they just set it up as unfortunately as essentially 2 separate artists, but we're verified under the Altered 5 Blues Band side, and those are the 3 main albums of note. I mean, we still are proud of the first 2 albums, but the band changed course a little bit, with that 3rd album, Crying Mercy, and it seems like a good fit to leave it that way. So we never changed it with Spotify. They made that decision. We didn't make that decision. But we're both, but we're verified under the Altered 5 Blues Band account.
So for any of you guys listening out there, if you want to listen to all their stuff, then you have to search the 2 different areas to get their whole range.
Yep.
I didn't know that. Good to know.
So you're a blues band. So what major influences have you got in your life in terms of music? Like, there sounds at some points like you have like old school Clapton in there, like Cream almost, like Layla. That guitar screams like Layla out to me. So.
Yeah, man, I certainly love Clapton. I mean, one of the things about the band I think that's worked really well is we all have a lot of different influences. And it's a true band where we're kind of the sum of the parts. Again, we kind of starts around Jeff's voice and that big baritone voice, and so we're writing with that in mind. But the rhythm section, Mark and Al, they got it going on in their own thing, and I don't know, we've got a lot of different influences. Mark will rattle off a few of them, and I'll add.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's all the classic blues guys, the Muddy Waters and Buddy Guy, and we certainly take a lot of influence from that. I think, some of the Texas blues, we certainly take some influence from there. So we do get it from all around. We're geographically close to Chicago blues, so I think we probably most identify with that type of blues music. Yeah, I mean, I think, like you say, Jeff, we get our influences from a lot of different places, and when we write these blues tunes, they kind of come from everyday ideas and experiences, and then we all come together and try to put together our influence on those new tunes.
Yeah, not to speak for JT, but his musical background is really diverse. I mean, he's into certainly all the classic blues guys and B.B. King and Howlin' Wolf, but also really into a lot of the R&B guys, even a lot of the 70s R&B, stuff. But Joe Simon but also a lot of rock and roll. I mean, he digs ZZ Top and things like that. So it's a wide variety. Certainly musically with a front man, it's sort of that Howlin' Wolf thing where he had the band going behind him. A lot of people have tried to modernize that. That's no secret. But a lot of Greg Allman, Robert Cray, Sun Seals, and just kind of a huge variety. We listen to all the current modern, contemporary blues too. So we try to stay up on it. But yet do our own thing. We've been around long enough that we kind of found what we do pretty well, and we try to stick to that. We try not to go out of bounds too much and out of our comfort zone, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, so your latest album, 10,000 Watts, you've currently got 3 singles that are released on that album: 10,000 Watts, Mischief Man, and Too Mad to Make Up. Are you releasing these singles one by one? And did that stop when we had this coronavirus situation, or is there plans to release those as further singles down the line?
It's a good question. The album came out last September, so it's been a while, and our record label, Blind Pig Records, released 3 singles leading up to the album release. And there hasn't been discussion about releasing more. We could, we could do that. It's something to consider, but at this point, we're just kind of trying to ride it out and hopefully get back to playing live again sometime soon. But yeah, I mean, all the tracks off the album are technically released. There's no new material to be released from the album since it came out in September.
So you had the 3 singles of the album, but there's the song "Great Minds Drink Alike," which actually won the International Songwriting Competition, and that's not actually a single, but I think it's got the second most amount of plays off of the album if you go on Spotify. So how did that come about, winning that competition?
Yeah, it's one of the maybe the most respected songwriting competition, and a lot of entries. And so yeah, we entered. We actually had 2 songs in the finals in the blues category. Mischief Man was the other one. And we entered. We had a song off of our last record that won another. I think it was the independent songwriting competition. I think it was. I don't remember which song it was, Mark. What was it now? But
"Find My Wings" was one of them.
No, I think it might have been "Charmed and Dangerous." I can't remember now. But anyway, yeah, it was really cool that "Great Minds Drink Alike" won, and it's a fun song. I mean, it's a simple song in many ways, as a lot of good blues songs are, but makes people feel good when they hear it, and resonates well, and just the arrangement is real tight, and just a fun blues song. Blues songs aren't always about being depressed and down and out. Sometimes it's about having some fun and just making people smile. I think that's what that one is. And hey, we're from Milwaukee. It's a brew town here, so it was pretty fitting.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it is a really good title for a song as well. As is, I Hate to Leave You with a 6-pack in the Fridge. That is a great title for a song, and I totally can relate to that. So during we briefly touched on COVID-19 and the situation that we're all going through, but we just want to find out, as a band, what are you doing at the moment to sort of engage with your audience, and what are you planning to do in the future?
I think it's been tough, just not being out there, and we had the album last year, but nothing new recently. Mark, I guess the one thing we did, at least through social media, was we found some footage from a show last year, a club date last year, that someone passed along to us. Some pretty good footage, live, raw footage that we released, maybe 6, 7, 8 live tracks on our some of our social channels, YouTube and Facebook and things like that. So that was kind of cool, just to kind of keep people updated. Other than that, Mark, what else?
Yeah, I mean, watching those live shows is kind of fun. It's not the same, that's for sure. But the other one we found was that old recording, one of our first demo recordings that we did in 2002, I suppose.
Yeah.
And released it, I think, on Facebook or something. Just a snippet of the recording of "Running with the Devil."
Yeah. Yeah, and over the 2 weekends ago, I think it was July 5th, we were part of a virtual blues festival put on by a blues music fan radio channel. And we provided, and a few other artists, unreleased live tracks, never before heard. And ours were from a 2018 show at a big festival here in Milwaukee called Summerfest. And so we provided just raw, right from the board, live footage on those 3 tracks, and they put it in in combination with some other sets from artists, and they had a virtual blues festival. So I thought that was a lot of fun. I think went over pretty well.
So in terms of COVID-19, when do you have a date in mind for when you think you'll be back on the road, back on doing anything? Have you got anything in the diary that's a provisional date that looks like it might be able to happen, or you just can't plan it at the moment?
Pretty tough.
Hard to say. Yeah, I mean, we may have a outdoor festival local show here next month, but I haven't announced anything because it's kind of, we just never know. The only show that's been announced, in fact, I think they announced it today, is a blues festival here in the Wisconsin area called the Best Damn Blues Festival, and a lot of great bands on that one, and that's in September. And it's an outdoor festival that looks like it's going to happen. So, between now and the end of the year, who knows? Maybe 2-3 shows if things work out. But really, we're looking at coming out and playing and getting back on, doing a little traveling next year, hopefully.
We had several European trips planned for this year that were canceled, and so we're looking forward to rescheduling those for next year and getting back to Europe.
That's a shame. That's a real shame. I'm in Manchester in England. Don't know if you were planning coming over this way.
We've had 3 trips to Europe this year. The first 2 have been canceled and are rescheduled for next year. The first one was in I think Netherlands, Germany, and maybe one show in Belgium, and then France and Switzerland, a couple of dates. And then this November, we're supposed to be in France and Poland. But we suspect that, we don't know whether that's happening or not. At this point, it's not. So, likely that'll all be rescheduled for next year. Let's hope.
Well, we haven't been to England yet, have we, Jeff?
We have not. We have not been there. And so we'd like to get me in France. If that happens next year as planned, or maybe later this year, that'll be the first time even close. But we'd love to get to Manchester. That's
brilliant. But I mean, you love Manchester. There's some really, really good blues bars here in the city centre. One's called Matt's and Fred's. Actually, it's a blues and jazz live music venue. So, I mean, if you want to look it up, it's a great venue, and I'm sure you'd be a big hit there. So if you ever do come to Manchester, check that out for sure. But yeah, no, it'd be great to have you here, and I'd love to see you guys live. You actually do remind me a lot of the kind of music my dad played in his band. He was part of a band called the Workshop Boys way back when. But your music does really remind me of the kind of music that he played. So I've been listening to you guys on Spotify for the last week, pretty much on repeat, because I have such an affinity with that kind of music anyway. So it's been great to listen to you guys. So just tell us a little bit about you've been around for 18 years. You must have a story in particular about your time on the road, your travels, playing in the band. Is there anything that sort of sticks out in particular?
There's a lot of them that stick out. We can't really talk about them for various reasons. What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, I think we've made most of our flights. A couple of flat tires, maybe. Some challenging hotels, maybe. I don't know. What's a good one? I mean, we've had.
I was thinking, Jeff, there's so many fun stories and good stuff like that, but I liken it to these sports figures that have to retire, and they have such a hard time retiring, and they say one of the reasons, I just miss the guys, I miss the locker room, I miss being around with the guys. And that's kind of the cool thing about music, is that you can kind of get old, and you don't have to retire so young, and so just hanging out with the guys is really what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, we had some great times, and when we've been, just traveling, whether it's here in the States and in different areas, or in Germany, or last year we were in Switzerland, and we had some great times for sure. So
great meals, great food,
great meals,
great drinks. Yeah.
I was going to say, get into the European beer.
Yeah.
That's all right. Yeah. But
Uh,
great people. I think just great meeting new people, seeing people, seeing people who know our songs, who live a long ways away. Something that didn't happen a while ago. I got JT calling me right now, so I'll see what I can do about that.
Well,
yeah, bring him in.
We've got to. Well, we're getting to the point where we're going to have to start wrapping the podcast up. So something we always do towards the end of every podcast is ask you, what would be your perfect 3-man band? So a drummer, a bassist, and a lead guitarist / vocalist. Who would that be? Who would you have?
Living?
Do we have to have a drummer?
It doesn't have to be living. No.
Man, I don't know. God, so many great voices and tandems. I don't know.
Hey, Tommy Shannon for me.
Well, you could just do double trouble, then you got the 3 right there.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. So many greats. Buddy Guy, Willie Dixon on bass. Who knows? A lot of great voices out there. Bobby Blue Bland, boy, he can sing, that's for sure. Man, so many great people. I couldn't even tell you.
It is a hard question. That's why we put it in there. We think it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Some of the combinations that have come up. Just last week, someone said that they'd have Dave Grohl and Freddie Mercury in the same band. Wow.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes those pairings, I don't know. I'm not sure how that would sound. It'd be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what we said. And they'd both be fighting for the spotlight all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
In blues and jazz, you get a little bit more, people mixing it up and playing with different people. So, we do get that luxury of being able to play, with other musicians and other people's probably more frequently than other music genres.
Yeah, we play pretty often at Buddy Guy's Legends in Chicago, and Buddy's gotten on stage with us to sing maybe 3 or 4 times, Mark.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. He's just such an incredible presence, and his voice just so dynamic. So that's been a highlight every time. One of our band, to be honest.
Really learn a lot just being around that guy, I tell you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we're coming to the end of the podcast today, so thank you again for joining us. It's been really interesting listening to you talk about your experiences. And so, just to finish off the podcast, I know that you've sent us a track that you'd like us to play. So, if you could just introduce that track, and yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we sent Charmed and Dangerous, which is the title cut from our 2017 album on Blind Pig Records. And it's gotten a lot of play. It's one of our more requested songs, and just a good lyric. And, JT, if you were here, it's the song that maybe only he can sing, but it's a fun one for the whole band. A lot of, it's kind of a little more on the edgier rock and blues kind of side, but still with some traditional blues elements in it. Anything else to add on that one, Mark?
Yeah, it's a rockin' tune. It's a great one.
Yeah. So appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
All right.
Joining us.
Man, 6'2", double-barrel chest, Wolverine tattoo, riding 9-horse chopper, walk a bloodhound dog, got all the gunpowder, one man's allowed. I'm charmed and dangerous, I wanna be your bad boy. Promise you, darling, seeking missile. I aim a thrill. Gonna sneak up one night, make your heart stand still. I'm charmed and dangerous. Let me be your bad boy. Promise you, darling, I'll fill you full of joy. I'm charmed, dangerous. Yes, I am. I can tame the wild, make an iceberg melt, heal the pain with a smile. I'm charmed and dangerous. I wanna be your bad boy. Promise you, darling, I'll fill you full of joy. I'm Dr. Feel Good. I'm a wanted man. I'm a love supreme, baby. Yes, I am. Promise you, darling.